Welcome to Hero Power. As always, I am your host, Avantes, and I'm joined by my co-host, Zerotio.
What is up, gang? I know what's up, but do you know what's up? I can't wait for our guest this week.
Oh, man, do we have such a special guest joining us this week. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the king of meme, RegisKillbin.
Hey, that's quite the introduction. Thank you, guys. Happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, man, you don't even know. Zerotio has been fangirling all week about this. Ever since you did that stream with Mike Donay, and Donay said Zerotio was his favorite person in chat. We've not heard the end of it.
And you won't hear the end of it.
That's a good moment. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, we are super excited to have you here and be able to talk some Hearthstone with you and pick your brain. But, really first, we want to let the listeners who maybe, and unless they've been living under a rock for the last 2 years, may not be 100% familiar with you. We want to give them a chance to get to know you a little bit. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what drove you to kind of want to become a content creator?
Yeah, so thanks again for the introduction. I am Regis, and I guess I would call myself a content creator. That's a good name. I basically make videos on YouTube and live stream on Twitch, pretty much exclusively Hearthstone at this point. I am a Hearthstone kind of guy. And as far as what drove me into that world, I think I just have this kind of unending desire to create stuff, make stuff, turn my hobbies and interest into content, and perhaps generate some value out of them. So I'm not just wasting all my free time. Want to get something back, So I was playing a ton of Hearthstone. I fell in love with the game long ago. I've been playing since season 2. So I think that was May of 2014. So we're talking about 5 years ago. And I just started playing. I fell in love. I was just completely head over heels with it. And after about a year or so of losing a lot of time and money to Hearthstone, I was like, I got to get some value back out of this. So I was like, hey, I'll make a YouTube channel and see how it goes. And that was, I think, in August of 2015. And then I kind of just did it a little side project thing, and just make a video every couple days, spend an hour here or there. And then it started growing a little bit, so I was like, hey, maybe this is a real deal. So I started kind of leaning into it more. I think particularly around Journey to Enguro, I kicked it up a notch, really tried hard, and that's when this whole crazy world started really working out well. And here we are, a couple years after that, and got some pretty cool stuff going. Got a nice little audience there supporting me on YouTube and Twitch, and getting to do some cool stuff with Blizzard. I never thought I'd actually get invited to Blizzard events and those sorts of things. So I feel like the luckiest dude in the world, having fun, playing a video game, and now I'm on this podcast, the highlight of the entire journey so far.
Oh, wow. You fake it really well. But yeah, we appreciate that. So, all right. So we kind of just talked a little bit about, what really kind of drew you to Hearthstone was that, you said you were a fan. Did you play any other CCGs prior to Hearthstone?
I honestly didn't have any card game experience. I mean, when I was a kid, I think I bought some Marvel Versus cards or something, but I just the art and the characters. I didn't care about the actual playability of the cards or whatever. I did play a lot of World of Warcraft. That was kind of my connection to Hearthstone. Played a ton of classic World of Warcraft back in the day when I was in college. Darn near failed out of my first year of college because I was playing too much WoW. And no, I did okay. But I had always loved WoW, but it was one of those things that was just it ate my entire life up. I got semi-addicted to it, and it was such a big commitment, so I was never willing to go back to it. I'd quit for a few years during graduate school and just life was moving on. But then Hearthstone gave me this way to enjoy the same kind of characters and stories and lore and art without the big time commitments and the need to feel like I was pushing for the best person on the server in World of Warcraft or whatever. So it was a little bit more of a kind of casual intro into that environment. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And again, like I said, I just totally fell in love with it and probably ended up playing it more than I played World of Warcraft. So maybe my plan backfired a little bit. But yeah, that was the bridge to Hearthstone for me. So I pretty quickly had to learn how to play card games. And I didn't really know anything at all. So it took me like 9 months or a year before I hit Legend and felt comfortable. And that was another thing that kind of kicked off the videos. It's like, okay, I've proved that I'm good enough to like talk about the game to people now. So let's see what we can do.
That's really cool. Zerotio is the one to blame for my Hearthstone addiction, because I've known him 20 plus years, and back in high school he actually got me addicted to Magic the Gathering, and that led into my Hearthstone addiction. So yeah, it's always Zerotio's fault. Whatever anybody in chat ever tells you, it's always Zerotio's fault.
There's one constant in this is I introduced him to something, and he ends up putting the most effort into it, and I always end up better at the game than him. That's pretty much how our relationship works. Is I show him something, and then I prove to him that I'm better at it than he is. Then we move on.
Speaking of which, why don't you take the next question there, Zerotio?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously followed your career through your YouTube into your streaming, and I've loved your really happy, personality and mentality when it comes to the game and streaming as a whole. But how has your career been impacted once you were able to break through and do some of these Blizzard events? Because you've done quite a few of these at-site Blizzard events, debuting cards, debuting, release streams of specific sets. How has that impacted both your YouTube coverage and your streaming community?
Yeah, it's first off, it's just awesome to be a part of it. Like I teased earlier, it's mind-boggling to like get flown out to Blizzard headquarters and like get a tour of like Blizzard HQ to see they have like a billion statues, these awesome, awe-inspiring statues that are like 20 feet tall. They had like a museum with tons of Hearthstone stuff that I got to go through. So I just felt like the luckiest dude in the world to be like a part of the system. It felt like it took a while, and then once they got me in their kind of like content creator system or whatever they want to call it, it seemed to fly. So I was just thrilled to like be there, and I always said like, look, if I only get invited to one thing, just to get to see all this cool stuff behind the scenes is really awesome. So I feel stupidly lucky about it. Now, to I guess address the meat of the question there, how it has impacted the content creation side of things. I mean, clearly it's been a net positive. It's sometimes hard to capture exactly what it looks like. It's like, did I get more subscribers on YouTube or more audience on Twitch? I don't know if there's a number to represent sort of the impact it's had. I mean, certainly there's been growth, but there's always been growth on those platforms. So I don't know how much of it's directly attributable to a relationship with Blizzard, but I mean, clearly the exposure, being introduced to a much wider audience, being featured on the Battle.net launcher is like the craziest honor in the world.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
The first time that happened, I was like, oh my God, because that like the Battle.net launcher's been a part of my life for so long, and it's like the most iconic like gaming thing to me in the world, and there's my face on it. I was just like, that can't be real, So I was screenshotting it, and it was just such an enormous milestone. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely led to extra people joining the family and stuff, and it's been a great opportunity. We've done some really cool things. Some go better than others. Some are more fun than others. Some are more stressful than others. But at the end of the day, it's always something I'm happy to do. Anytime Blizzard's like, "Hey, come do this thing," I don't even hesitate. Right? It's like, yes, of course, I'm gonna do the thing. So it's the career, if you want to call it that, has been impacted in some pretty positive ways, obviously, both from a personal standpoint, but also from a results standpoint.
All right. So
yeah, I remember. Talking about the Blizzard launcher, I remember seeing the Blizzard launcher. Now I've seen a lot of other personalities. I think Educated Collins was on there recently. Slissa's been on there. Ali Strauss has been on there. But yours is the only one that made me think of like one of those Azkaban from Harry Potter, Azkaban prison photos where you're like looking around. You're so animated.
Yeah, they like take a snippet for the video or something, and I think in mine I'm like laughing and like just like everybody else is just kind of like just talking very stoically. So I'm sure it captured the kind of personality or charm of the stream a little bit there, which was nice.
And the one thing that I noticed is as you've done some of these Blizzard events, I mean, obviously they have a lot of function to them. You're debuting cards, you're demoing specific kind of features. But in the most recent one with Mike Donay, where he said I was his favorite person in chat, it was literally like you were just hanging out with the developer and playing Hearthstone together. Obviously, that's not something that just happens overnight. That the first time you go to Blizzard, it's not just like coming to hang out with Mike Danae. How did that feel, specifically being able to kind of almost just kind of chill with them? There wasn't any specific questions lined up or anything like that, not obvious to the viewer at least.
Yeah, you're right. There weren't, and to be honest, I think Blizzard only has that faith in like certain creators. I think they do a little bit more coaching and prep work and like who they pair people with, because Mike Danae can be a little bit of a firecracker. Like, he's unpredictable and he says some things. He actually cussed. He's the first person to ever cuss on my stream. He dropped a couple different curse words. So, I think they kind of had faith in me because I've never cursed on stream. I'm generally pretty positive about Blizzard stuff. At the very least, when I'm negative, I know how to frame it constructively. So they have a little bit of faith in me to give me those situations and make sure I don't say anything stupid or problematic, right? That's not always the case with all streamers, as far as I can understand. But it was super fun to just get to hang out with Mike Danae. He's a really cool guy for Hearthstone. I used to be intimidated by Mike Danae, like when I first started with stuff. He just seemed like so, because he kind of has that snarky, almost condescending tone sometimes. But I got to talk to him a lot at the summit I went to in, I think it was March, before Rise of Shadows. They showed us Rise of Shadows early, and we got to play the Dollar on Heist early, which was, by the way, probably my favorite of all Blizzard events that I've done so far, because we got time to just sit and talk to the Hearthstone dev team. So I had dinner with like Mike Danae and Ben Thompson, the art director, and trying to think who else was there. Giovanni, who is one of the designers for adventure stuff. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different dev team people were there, and I just got to hang out and talk Hearthstone and learned a lot and asked a lot of questions. So it just felt like I was getting to pick the brains of the people who made the stuff that I love. It's a very, very cool thing to be able to do.
That's really cool. I want to talk to you real quick. So I've been to Blizzard Campus twice for innkeeper summits. I do a lot of fireside gatherings as an innkeeper. And, you were talking about the tour. And I've got to ask you, what was your favorite part of the tour?
Favorite part of the tour? I don't know if I got the same tour as you got or not. I may have gotten a slightly better tour. I'm not sure, because there were some things in the tour I don't think they would have showed to everybody on my tour. I got to see some behind-the-scenes stuff. So I can't talk about all the things I saw. Yeah. Well, maybe I can now. I don't know. I probably shouldn't reveal exactly.
So I'll tell you mine.
As far as the public stuff, I think just the main statue on campus, like the orc statue that everybody loves.
As I'm a tech nerd, so getting to see the Global Network Operations Center just blew my mind. How they have, you can see every login to BattleNet in real time is just mind blowing.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, that is actually really awesome. That was a bit of a highlight. We didn't spend a whole lot of time there. I would have liked to have seen more. You might have got to see more than me, because but there's that screen up that shows like the pings like around the globe and people logging in. Like, yeah, it's really cool. Like a whole team dedicated to just managing all that stuff. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, and then of course the on-site museum is just phenomenal. They do such a great job curating all of that stuff. It's just
I think it's been recently updated, but I haven't seen the new stuff yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Last time I was there, they had us like off in a kind of like building off in the corner, like not really on the proper campus. So we were just kind of tucked away. I didn't get to see anything cool last time. I was like, no.
Yeah. All right, Zerotio, go ahead with the next question.
Yeah, so obviously you were real integral in the Rise of Shadows, and you got to see a lot of behind the scenes. With Saviors of Oldham coming out, I know you were really excited about a lot of the cards and the mechanics and kind of the decks in it. What are your first impressions of Saviors of Oldham? It's only been 2 weeks out now, and what kind of cards and specific decks do you like?
So my impressions have been positive. I don't know if that adds a lot of value to tons of people, because I pretty much always have positive impressions of every new expansion. I don't think I've ever really came away from an expansion launch like, oh, I'm not having fun. So, story as usual for me as far as that's concerned. I've been enjoying it a lot. If you've been watching my stream, you can probably tell. I actually think it's been maybe more fun than I've had in a long time, because I took a little bit of a different approach on launch day, like the day the expansion hit this time. I really tried to play like true meme decks, like ridiculous combos, absurd stuff, and trying to it's usually I try to make good decks and solve the meta really fast. And I leaned really hard into the memes this time around. And it went really well. Like, stuff was working. I think it's my favorite launch day stream I've ever had. We got a lot of cool videos out of it too, which was nice. I kind of tried to play the Disguised Toast role a little more than usual. Perhaps not in attitude, but in execution, because Disguised Toast was not going to be streaming the expansion this time. So I think that went extremely well. There are some ridiculous things you can do. We summoned 7 0-mana King Crushes in a single turn. Yep. We did 7 Desert Obelisks. I guess that was actually during the... No, that was on launch day, actually, wasn't it? 7 Desert Obelisks in a single turn. We did some pretty crazy stuff. Now, as far as general impressions of the expansion are concerned, I think it's in a pretty good spot. I've seen some community just dissatisfaction and general complaining on places like Reddit, which I guess is bound to happen. People are just passionate.
It's Reddit.
Yeah. When I go, for instance, look at the meta report, on HS Replay, my favorite place to do that, I'm looking and there's a wide variety and diversity of decks that are able to be played. Right now, for instance, HS Replay shows 8 different Tier 1 decks. Yeah. And there's another 8 Tier 2 decks that all have competitive viability, which means 16 different decks that you can play right now in Hearthstone and succeed. And that is remarkable. Usually it's maybe 6 or 7. So there's so much you can do right now across, I think maybe every class is represented here too. I'd have to check. I'm not sure that's true, but it looks like most of them are at the very least. So you have a lot of options to play things in a different way. So every day can be different. Every game you play on the ladder is not going to be the same opponent. It is a little unfortunate that decks like Control Warrior don't look all that new, and they're still popular. But even that has its upsides, because people who perhaps don't have a lot of dust or resources in Hearthstone, they can play a couple old decks and still be competitive too. So it's not like they're priced out of the expansion right off the bat, right? They still have the option to be competitive. So every way I break that down, I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually really, really awesome. And then beyond that, I'm excited to see Highlander decks work. So Singleton style decks, Reno decks are back. Some people didn't think they were going to work. I was doubtful too because of Bomb Warrior problems. But there's a couple really high tier Highlander decks. I got Highlander Hunter and Highlander Mage both doing work. So all in all, every way I break down how Sabres of Doom is shaping up, it looks really, really good to me. And then sometime soon, we're going to hear about the single-player stuff, too, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So it's all right, well, I'm not even satisfied with playing through all these new cards yet. I'm still having fun with these, and then we got more new stuff coming. I like the rhythm of this, and like I said, I think this is maybe my favorite expansion launch of all time. So I'm very, very happy, to say the least.
So I think it might have been day 2 or 3. You did, what I loved is you prefaced your stream with, we are not trying to win with this deck. We have a goal. Don't spam chat that that this is a bad deck. We have a goal, and then you proceeded to win with an unlimited Zephyrus combo.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah.
That your first game, it won.
Yeah.
And you basically locked down. You were using the Soul Warden and the new discard card to
Expired
discard. Expired Merchant to discard specifically your Zephyrus and your Wardens, and then every turn you were able to play a Warden every single turn, and it's that kind of stuff that I love watching about your show, because your stream, while you're very competitive, I mean, you've been in top 100 or top 50 Wild Legend at the end of a month?
Yeah, very recently, we've finished on the leaderboard in both Standard and Wild historically, and usually hit Legend most months unless we're just goofing off the whole month.
So there's no doubt that you're good at the game, but it's nice to see people that are good at the game also find enjoyment and fun in the game and not focus just on numbers. Obviously, most of the time when you see your stream, you're at rank 5 because you're having fun. But most of the time, towards the end of the month, boom, you're just a legend out of nowhere. because you have that ability, and that's something I want to make sure that our viewers and listeners know about. Is not only is RegisKillbin known for his deck variety and fun, but he's also really, really, really good at the game.
Yeah, it's easy to forget sometimes, even for me too. It's like, because if we do just goof off for a month, it's like, man, am I still good? And then I have to go try. And then if I play like a legitimately tier 1 deck, I'll like shoot to legend with a 70% win rate or something. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I actually still have it. Depending on how much I concentrate, particularly off stream, it seems like I can just fly to legend. I had like a 19 win streak to legend and wild to the month I top 100 off stream, just like absolutely demolished. So it is a good reminder occasionally. Thank you for that. It even helps me too to remember sometimes. Okay, at the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about you've been playing since season 2. What has been your favorite card in Hearthstone that maybe you've ever played with or that was ever printed? What do you see as the most fun or best card you've ever played in Hearthstone?
Yeah, I'd say Jade Idol for Druid. No, that's a joke. I hate Jade Idol. That's my least favorite card ever. I am going to say one that might upset some people, though, at first here. I'm going to mention 2 things, I think. Number 1 is, for a long time there, I think Deathstalker Rexar, the Death Knight for Hunter, with the build of Beast Hero Power, was my favorite card, because at first nobody was really playing it. It was kind of off meta, and being able to generate a cool build a beast every turn was like this really fun mechanic. And then unfortunately Hunter got a little better, and Deathstalker Rexar actually became a prominent part of the meta. People forget that didn't happen immediately. It took a little while and some meta shifts. And then it became a little bit of an oppressive card. Like, it really bothered people because it was this infinite value train, and it would just steal games, and it would stretch out games forever. So it became kind of a negative point in the meta, which is unfortunate, because I thought it was a really well-designed, fun card. Basically, the addition of additional life-steal beasts made it much, much better, because they could more reliably use it as a control and defensive tool late in the game to stay alive forever. But at first, Deathstalker Rexar was my favorite card for a long time, just because I loved the idea of building beasts every turn. But I think if we stretch it out to a longer time span, I guess historically I'd have to say Yogg Saron is probably like go-to, like ultimate fun card. It's another one that has like it had some problems where it would steal games because you could just drop Yogg and chaos would ensue, and even at a like competitive tournament level for a long time, it was a playable card. Then they kind of sideways nerfed it so that when it killed itself or silenced itself or pulled itself out of play, the effect would cancel. That didn't used to work that way. It used to just go off no matter what would happen. It would resolve itself completely, playing like 20 or 30 spells, whatever it is, right? So it would usually almost always clear the board, draw you cards, sometimes do a lot of damage. And it was a very powerful kind of Hail Mary, last resort sort of card, but also created a hilarious amount of fun moments, and still does. Like, we still, like last time I played a lot of Wild, we were playing that mana Cyclone Mage deck and runs a ton of spells. It's like, you know what, let's toss in Yogg. It's going to make the deck worse because it's a 10 mana card in a deck that doesn't need 10 mana cards, but who cares, because it's so stupid and fun. And then better yet, Yogg is kind of back in standard with Yogg's Puzzle Box now.
Well, I was going to ask you, were you happy to see Puzzle Box?
Yeah, of course. I think it's a little unfortunate how it can create frustrating moments for people. Like, it can still steal games and like result in insanity that perhaps shouldn't happen from time to time. But for somebody like me who isn't 100% worried about, serious competitive integrity all the time, somebody who's just having fun and focusing on Hearthstone as an entertainment outlet, a card like that is absolutely perfect for streamers, but also just to have fun. People take Hearthstone way too seriously sometimes, in my mind, worry way too much about the outcome of the games and not the experience of the games. Because even if your opponent has a crazy cool Yogg's Puzzle Box, that can still be a fun moment. And so for me, yeah, I think Yogg and now Yogg's Box are probably my favorite cards.
All right, Zerotio, your turn.
So this is a question that Avanti's put in there because we tend to ask this of our past guests, but I know you kind of have a unique take on this. If you could create a card to be added to a future set, what would it look like to make? Now, I know that you guys your community, I'm part of it, have a lot of build your own card submissions. So tell us your answer to this question and maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna cop out on this question because I have made like so many cards, both myself and like you said, my community. So usually, like each time we get like an expansion reveal, I will go through and like. So this time, for instance, Uldum, right, was kind of the theme of the expansion we knew. We saw like 5 cards, we saw the mechanics, but we didn't see everything. So it's like, okay, what legendaries might appear in Uldum? What characters are notable? So I made like 2 different videos and created some theorized ideas of characters and mechanics and effects that would represent Uldum well from a lore or story standpoint, like raid bosses from the zone or prominent story quest characters from the zone. And I went through and I made cards for each of those, right? So I've got like 2 videos with like 10 or probably no, like 15 cards that I made for this expansion specifically. So basically, I can't just narrow it down to one. You know, it's like picking between your children. And I've done that for every expansion. So I've probably made like 200 cards that I'd like, at any given point, I'd like to see in a given expansion, right? And then I also do the same. As you mentioned, I have weekly, let's say weekly, custom card competitions as well, where I have viewers submit their own card design ideas, and then I usually get 200-300 submissions every week, and I go through and I review them individually myself, and I pick my 10, sometimes 20 favorite cards out of those submissions, because they're cards I think would be like cool or good for the game, right? Even if I didn't design them, I'm still saying like, this would be awesome. This is a cool tech card. This is a great mechanic. This is a cool character to capture. And basically review them on stream or talk through why I think they're so awesome. So basically I have a history of you know, that's another 10 cards a week or 20 cards a week. So there's something probably like 1,000 cards throughout the last year or 2 that I have suggested should be in Hearthstone. So again, I can't narrow it down. Now that said, what cards do you guys want to see in Hearthstone? Maybe you talk about this a lot, maybe you don't, but I want to turn it back on you. What would you like to see?
So I'm a big fan of Paladin, obviously, and I just want there to be another good, solid Paladin legendary to use other than Tyrion. I don't know if they need to phase out Tyrion and replace him. I love Tyrion, don't get me wrong. He's great. But obviously with Zephyrus coming out, Zephyrus always says, here's Tyrion. So he is the best class legendary out there, obviously in the 8-mana slot. So I just like to see another new Tyrion style, whether it give you a weapon or has reborn or something, but something big and beefy for Paladin that they can put in there, because I want to see those type of decks come back.
Yeah, okay. I hear you. And the thing too about, oh, sorry, I'll let you go too. Don't worry, I just want to respond. The thing about Paladin, right, is it feels so weird to me that Paladin, this class or this, you know, from a lore standpoint in World of Warcraft, this like super heroic, like big, classic, divine sort of class. To me, when I think of them, I think of just like the most iconic like knight, you know, like a big knight. And it's like all the cards in Paladin are like Murlocs or tiny dudes, like little 1/1s. And although Divine Shield captures it pretty well, it's like Murlocs is so random, right? Why doesn't Paladin have more of those big, iconic, like just staple home run? Yeah, exactly. I want like big taunts and big, like just cool looking knight dudes in Paladin, and rarely do they seem to capture that. I think some have done it kind of cool, like Linessa was kind of cool in that way. Sunkeeper Tarim was like sort of, but still more token oriented than like a big singular threat. Now Tyrion captured that perfectly, but you're right, he is a little tired at this point. So more of those would be pretty cool to see. Now, sorry, I may have cut you off there.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, you know, one of my favorite mechanics, and they've done a better job of it recently than they have in the past, is the rogue's ability to steal cards from other classes. And I like that recently they did make a change to where, you know, a lot of the cards now read from another class instead of from your opponent. But I love, and I'd always felt like there wasn't enough theme to the rogue. Like, you know, yeah, rogue was built to do this one thing, but they didn't do it well. And now they've come out and given you the ability to get cards from other classes. But I would like to see a I'm drawing a blank now. The mage card that gives you a spell for every spell you play. I would like to see something like that in Rogue, where you get, additional cards back.
Like Mana Cyclone.
Yeah, sort of like a Mana Cyclone for a Rogue.
Okay, cool. That would be cool. Like it for every non-rogue or neutral card you play, you get another
non-rogue, neutral, or whatever card. Yeah, I think that would be really neat. Just because I feel like it would fit the flow and the theme of the Rogue. That's cool.
Now I will say, just to plug your stuff a little bit, your Discord channel has a specific channel just for card submissions, and so that's really neat. I love going in there sometimes and taking a look at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's very active. They're basically always talking about custom cards. Some people get very impassioned, and that card's terrible, but in a constructive way. Like, no, you've got to fix this, do this, do this. So it's a great way to kind of explore Hearthstone card design in a safe but still, dedicated and constructive area. Like, people are going to tell you how to make your stuff better. So it really helps you think about Hearthstone card design in a new way, and people usually have a pretty good sense of what's good, what's balanced, and how cards are structured. So if you're interested in that sort of thing at all, it's a good place to hang out. Speaking of which, we had Cora. You guys may know Cora, a good friend of mine in Hearthstone World, recently announced to join the Hearthstone design team.
Yes.
Crazy, out of nowhere. It was pretty amazing to see, so I'm excited about that. I don't know if she hung out in my custom card Discord or not, but maybe.
We're real close with Cora as well. We got to meet up with her at DreamHack in 2017, have a few drinks and hang out before DreamHack really got started. Still not been able to get her on the show yet because her schedule's always all over the place with Pokemon and Hearthstone casting, but we're still hoping that maybe here in the next couple of weeks we can wrangle her in before she goes to work for Blizzard full time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Now, you were talking about some of your favorite cards and mechanics. Do you have? I know you talked about Yogg. Do you have one mechanic you'd like to see come back in future sets?
Yeah, probably a couple. I mean, this might upset some people out there. I actually think I'd like to see more of another full set of themed hero cards. I know hero cards have been a big point of contention, but I love the idea of Death Knights, like each class getting this super iconic, big, awesome, legendary. And from a story standpoint, it was really cool. Like corrupted, undead heroes was awesome. I want that to come back. Now, clearly that could come with some problems because there were some Death Knight balancing issues, and hero cards are still causing a little bit of friction today with Dr. Boom Mad Genius. But I think Blizzard has finally gotten a wrangle on like balancing a long-term hero power and understands where those hero powers need to be from a strength standpoint and from an infinite value standpoint. Because, for instance, with the Sabers of Doom Legendary Quests, the hero power rewards all feel pretty right. None of them right now to me feel like they're too strong or too much value or too much tempo. Like, it seems like they got it. And if they can take that same design philosophy and bring back some powerful hero cards that are thematically connected, I think that would be a big sell for Hearthstone. Particularly the idea I've been pitching is dragons. So we got Year of the Dragon. We've seen the third expansion teasers look like some kind of dragon fiery themed sort of thing. So I'm hoping, and again, I literally don't know anything about the new expansion theme wise. So I don't know if this would happen, but I would love to see a set of like 9 really iconic dragon hero cards. So like Alexstrasza for Priest, a different version of Alexstrasza, a cool new Ysera for Druid, right? Like maybe a Deathwing for Warrior or Warlock. Just something that captures some really big storied characters in Warcraft is something I always like to see, and basically brings back that Death Knights, because Death Knights were super popular at launch for Knights of the Frozen Throne. Like people love that idea. It was such a cool moment. They were new, so it was like really cool to see that too. I want to see that brought back, I think. So I don't know if that counts as a mechanic necessarily, but anyway.
This gets a little bit into like conspiracy theories and speculations, but I love this. This is my favorite part of the show. Is what if with all this stuff going on with the League of Explorers and Dalaran and the League of Evil, obviously a lot of things are thrown out of whack. There's things Rafam's done that he'd like to change, maybe the way he did it, get away with other things. What if they went to the Caverns of Time next?
Yeah, this is nearby to Uldum there, so that could make sense. Yeah, I've also heard some theories that like maybe like Deathwing or maybe some Old Gods influences show up as like the real big bad of the story, and Rafam's like, crap, we've screwed things up. We better team up with the League of Explorers. So like the bad guys and the good guys will team up to defeat a greater evil, right? That's a kind of a trope that we've seen before in some stories. So that's a theory too. Like maybe they'll have to fight like Deathwing as the big bad. But yeah, Caverns of Time would be awesome. Go back in time to redo things. That'd be cool.
We've always seen the tentacle images popping behind Madame Lazul. Maybe she's being manipulated by the big bad evil. It's possible.
Yeah, maybe like N'Zoth and Deathwing are like the real evils of the expansion because Lazul is like unlocking him from something, you know. Also, we don't know what's going to happen next year. Presumably there's going to be another new year-long story. So the time travel thing could actually set that up. Like maybe they screw up the timeline somehow and we've got these like alternate timeline Hearthstone events for each expansion. That would be so cool. Like Hearthstone, but where things have gone totally different, or World of Warcraft, where the storyline has gone totally differently. That sounds amazing. So sure, I'm on board for that.
Maybe we Groundhog Day this or 51st dates this and go back to Dalaran every time, and every time there's still, you know, what happened previously, and then on top of what we're doing. That would be cool. Now, talking a little bit about the mechanic of hero cards. Obviously, hero cards had a lot of you know, impact on the meta in positive and negative ways.
Jaina.
And we've seen the change of quests and how quests are more impactful now, the way they've done the hero powers. And we've said, what if they did the hero powers kind of like this with hero cards? What if you played a hero card and the battle cry was to play a specific quest, and you didn't actually unlock the whatever hero card's hero power is until you've completed the quest? Would that possibly balance hero cards a little bit? Obviously, you could give them a more impactful, hero power, but at the same time, they're limited to having to complete the quest, and that way they're not trying to roll out a quest and a hero card, and it also saves a little bit on your kind of investment into legendaries in a set. What do you think of that kind of idea?
I mean, yeah, it's always a possibility. I think what you're capturing there is delaying the reward, or at the very least, you know, tying it to a point later in the game so its impact is a little bit slower. That would always be cool. And you could even flip it the other way too. It's almost like, what if the hero card required a condition to be played, as opposed. So in other words, like setting the reward tracking throughout the course of the game, and then the hero card is kind of the follow up as opposed to the quest. Play preemptively, and then you get, you know, you track it over time. So in other words, like, your opponent must have 4 minions on board to play this hero card, but when it does, it will clear the board and then you'll get a hero power, right? There are always cool kinds of ways to shift that. I mean, it's a challenge for Blizzard to figure out what's going to look best and work best and feel best. They have a monumental task of balancing things. People kind of and I don't think people give due credit to how complex of a system it is to balance everything over time, including future cards, because they have to balance for the next 2 or 3 sets as well at any given time, not just the past 2 or 3 sets, and then Wild, and then Arena, and then they've got to balance like competitive players versus casual players. There are a million different ways to slice Hearthstone, and making sure a card lines up in all of those is really tough. And only getting a few wrong in a given expansion, I think, is an achievement. Like, people complain like 1 or 2 cards is crazy overpowered or something. It's like, only one?
Only
that's
1
great.
or 2, yeah, exactly.
Like, that's amazing. You could have half the set be ridiculous if you're.
That just shows that the team is on it and they know what they're doing, and I have the utmost faith in them.
Yeah, of course, me too.
All right. Go ahead, Zerotio.
Well, I was going to do your job. I know we're getting a bit on your time there, but we want to make sure we're going to get into the news later after you go ahead and take off. But before you go, do you have any projects or events or anything you want to plug or push right now? Anything, any specific videos on YouTube you want to push?
Nothing too specific. I'm pretty much always putting stuff out. So at any given time, there's a million things coming. My schedule for YouTube right now, I have the next 3 weeks planned out of every video every day. So just check out my YouTube, check out my Twitch. There's going to be something coming. Follow me on Twitter to keep updates if you want to hang out. I think we have a lot of fun. You'll enjoy pretty much everything we do. If you like Hearthstone, you're going to like our stuff, because I kind of break Hearthstone down in so many different ways. I'm not just a deck guy, or just a discussion guy, or just a custom cards guy, or just a standard guy. I do pretty much everything except maybe arena. I don't do a lot of arena dedicated stuff, but every other way you can talk about Hearthstone, I guess we do it. So just come hang out. There's stuff coming that I can't talk about. I've got some cool sponsor stuff coming, some cool giveaways, some cool, I think there's probably a Twitch Rivals coming soon. I don't know for sure if I'll be participating, but usually I have some connection to that stuff. So nothing specific, but just more fun stuff. That's basically it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do know there is a Twitch Rivals. They announced it. It's going to be, I want to say August 28th, around that time, and for Arena. Again, you have done that in the past. I don't know if you're going to this time, but
I really don't either. Last time they invited me 6 days before, so I don't know. I may not. I'm not exactly an arena specialist, so they cut down the list at all. I may not make the cut, which is totally fine.
I enjoy when you guys have done that in the past, because in the past too, it's been you and Ant, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll do it this time. He's been
yeah, of course,
team fight tactics. So,
but you guys have been so fun to watch when you do it. It's less about the competition and more just kind of having fun on your streams, and Ant singing while you're doing your kind of craziness with your drafts. And if most of the time you've performed better than Ant, we'll just go there. I love Ant to death. You've done pretty good, in arena. So. But everything of yours on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, you can be found at RegisKillbin, right?
Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time on the show. Is there anything else you want to plug or discuss?
No, Hero Power Hearthstone podcast is great. I recommend it to everybody. There's your tagline now.
Clip that.
Totally clipping that and putting it before every show.
That's my new plug. But no, guys, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for your time. It's always cool to get to reach out to new people and talk about Hearthstone. So appreciate all the kind words you've offered, and just want to wish you the best of luck with the show. So thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, good luck in everything you're doing. I'll see you on your stream, obviously. Yeah, I'll be in there and chat and telling everybody how much Donay loves me and and bragging about my 24 months. So thanks again for coming on the show. And yeah.
You awesome. Have a wonderful day, Regis. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the show.
All right. All right.
I am everywhere now.
Yes, and now I have to fix this.
Cool. Well, while you fix that, we'll go ahead and get into the news. Man, that was an awesome interview, first off. For everybody that's in chat, I know we had quite a few lurkers and a couple people. Airbag, Andrew is living. Dude, thank you so much for coming out. That's another. I'm fangirling over here. I got all my idols, and RegisKillbin has always been one of my inspirations for anytime I create content or talk about the game, because he's tough on Blizzard. A lot of people don't realize it. If you watch his videos and stuff, he's really tough on Blizzard. He holds them accountable for what they create, but at the same time, he understands they're a business. He understands that this isn't an easy job for them, so he definitely keeps it lighthearted and enjoyable to watch. It's definitely not like just a flaming session. He's just really good. So it's really cool to have him on the show. It's kind of my bucket list is checked here for that. But let's go ahead and get into our news. We don't have a lot of news. We mainly just want to talk about the Masters Tour. Masters Tour Seoul was this weekend. And so this is the last, I don't know if it's going to be the last time. This is a specialist tournament.
It may be one of the last.
It may be one of the last. Grandmasters has officially changed over to this new Conquest with a Shield stage where they get to shield a deck and then do a ban. And it's a weird bring 4 best of 3, so you don't have to play with all 3 of your decks, so it's kind of weird. But this is kind of being advertised as a swan song of Specialists. It's expected that Masters Tour, if not Bucharest, but definitely next year, is going to switch over away from Specialists. And I'll talk more about that later. We had all 9 classes represented,
which was huge because we didn't have that in some of the previous Specialist events. Did Saviors of Old Doom specifically account for this showing?
I think so. I mean, obviously the number of games through the Swiss rounds, Mage made up for 2,614 games. So Mage was the most dominant, almost by double, Warrior being 1,193. And then Warlock only had 40 games. But when you look at the percentage of win rate, obviously Mage is going to be a little low because of a lot of them mirrors, but they only settled at a 50% win rate, where Priest had a 59% win rate with 528 games. And then Shaman had a 53% win rate. And Hunter performed really well, where normally we've seen Mage, Warrior, Rogue. Hunter's kind of sneaked in there, where we expected to see 3 top classes. We actually saw 4 top classes. And our top 8 was made up of 5 different classes. We had Hunter, Mage, Priest, Rogue, and Warrior.
All represented in the top 8. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, obviously, your Mage and your Warrior had two respectively. So that was kind of expected. I think Hunter also had 2. And our top 8 consisted of RNG Lists, Zim, Dead Draw, Stas, Magaho, Unid, Folkeen, and Sony. Sony being the only local out of Korea. Now, if you listen to those names and you followed some of these players, we had a member from the Philippines, UK, China, Korea, and 4 French players in the top 8.
That's amazing.
No U.S. Actually, in the Swiss, I don't even know if any USA players made top 16. Now, there were some of the players that decided not to go out. Tice didn't go out because he wanted to stay home and stream. Bloody Face had a personal situation that he had to stay home last minute, so he didn't make the event. Language Hacker actually had a pretty good early run, but kind of fell.
He started out 3-0 and then kind of fell off.
But a lot of this, I think a lot of the reasons the U.S. players had a hard time is I don't think they read the meta properly. A lot of them planned to try to counter the Warriors and counter the Mages, where these Hunters just came out of the woodwork. Now, the French players, if you've been following the French professional scene, you'll know they're very, very, very tight-knit. A lot of the French players bought the same lists or very similar lists. They don't have individual streamers over in France. All of their Hearthstone players stream on the same French channel, and they just stream for 24 hours straight. So they're very, very communicative between all the players in that community. And I dare say this might be the year, and maybe even next year, for the French contingency in Hearthstone to step up and dominate. Now, is this because they do well in Specialists and not so much multi-deck formats? I don't know. But we've seen a very good French contingent. Speaking of the top 4, was Liss, which was your sole Chinese player, Folkeen, Magaho, and Zim. 3 French players in the top 4. And 3 different classes in the top 4. You had a Hunter, a Warrior, and 2 Mages. What do you think of that? I mean, we gotten all the way to top 4 and still have a diverse lineup.
Yeah, and I think that speaks volumes, because in the previous 2 Masters events, we've gotten to the top 8 and the top 4, and we've only had 2, maybe 3 classes. It was primarily your Warriors and Rogues, and now we're seeing this diversity. Now, like you said, 2 Mages, a Hunter, and a Warrior in the top 4. Well, one of the Mages played the Hunter, the other Mage played the Warrior, which set up for an all-Mage finals.
Yes. Now, this does seem like, oh, specialists, all mage finals, of course. I don't think that's necessary, because the hunter played by Liz, very, very close to making it, and is actually designed to beat that mage. It didn't in this stance, and I think a lot of that was more from Felkeen just being really good at the game and knowing the matchup and practicing it over and over and over again. So we saw Felkeen and Zim, both mage players, in the finals, and Felkeen ends up winning this 3-1. But we talked about this with Regis. It almost went down to a game 5, because Zim, being behind, seeing lethal on the board, he throws out the Yogg.
The puzzle box of Yogg-Saron.
Puzzle box of Yogg-Saron. And basically just needs to, if he can kill the Antonidas on board, then Felkeen can't generate the extra fireball he needs for lethal, and can show a counter lethal on the board. And it didn't happen. So this tells me that maybe the Pog box, as they're calling it in chat, the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron, maybe it's balanced. I do like that implement where it can bring you back into the game, but in this case it didn't. So I do like that Zim was like, hey, Hail Mary, let's just see if I can pull this out. And it came down to France having a great day. I guarantee you they're partying right now. But Felkeen ends up taking it over Zim. And what this means is Europe now has a solid 2 players, Felkeen and Zim, because they're both out of France, for the relegation after Season 2. Mm-hmm. We've already seen... now, the way the relegation is going to work, and we've already seen this because Dog dropped out of Grandmasters. They take the top competitor in that region. So since Dog was in the U.S., the top competitor at the time, based on Las Vegas's standings, was Gallon, because he won Las Vegas. So we didn't have a true top runner. We're going to have to dig down through the top 8 to find a European representative to fall into that relegation category. Well, now we have 2 top competitors for relegation in Felkeen and Zim. So if any of the European players don't perform well enough and end up in that relegation spot, right now Felkeen would take it. Mm-hmm. And if for some reason 2 spots opened up for Europe, Zim would be the second, because nobody in Europe performed well enough at Vegas to be considered better than either of these 2 players.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see the gears turning in the esports division on how the Grandmasters is going to turn in from being just like an invite-only competitors format to now a top competitors format. So does this mean it's easier for, your run-of-the-mill players just grinding these master qualifiers to get into the Grandmaster? I don't think so. A lot of your players are dropping out of the competitive scene. We had a tweet recently from Green Sheep saying goodbye to Hearthstone,
right?
Because of this reason. But this has given me some hope that we can see more competitive churn. I would like to see more relegation slots. More players, maybe the bottom 4 instead of bottom 2, get rotated out so we get more fresh faces in Grandmasters, since it feeds into the World Championships and the BlizzCon. But we'll just have to see once we get through this second season if they change things up for next year.
Yep. All right. So with as much diversity as we saw in this event, do you feel like maybe Specialist wasn't given a fair shake just because of the sets that were available at the time of its debut?
I want to say yes. I mean, if you would ask me this, Thursday before we started seeing Masters Tour Seoul, I would have said no. I would have said no. SOU is not going to adjust things enough to make Specialist be a competitive format that people are going to like. But I want to now after seeing Masters Tour Seoul, and it was on a different time zone, so it's hard for me to watch, but I watched it except for day 3 in its entirety, because day 3 I binged this morning just skipping through for results for the show, and I'm going to go back and watch it. But I was really riveted by some of the play and some of the decks. We even saw a Paladin Highlander deck that used the reoccurring effects from the Immortal Prelates and the Undertaker to constantly have an endless, flow of cards, and that was from ETC, who's also in the Grandmaster. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing some really unique decks come out into Specialist. So I really hope they actually leave Specialist for Bucharest, and we get to see a dual format feeder system for our competitive scene, where we see this Specialist format in the Masters Tour, and then these top players from the Masters Tour go to the Grandmasters where they have to compete in Conquest. I think we could actually have a 2-format system, and maybe that might branch us into like what Magic the Gathering did, where they had a legacy system and Type 1 and Type 2. Maybe we have a Specialist tournament and a multi-deck format tournament, and crown 2 different champions in 2 different formats. So I think this is good news for Specialist.
Okay. Well, there you go. So this week's Tavern Brawl was Cart Crash at the Crossroads. It's an oldie but a goodie. You've collided with another hero and your decks are mixed up. Pick a second hero at the start of the game. Your deck will be a random combination of the 2 classes. So if you haven't played it, go check it out.
And the one thing I want to say about this is a really good Tavern Brawl, especially now that they go full 7 days. It's a good Tavern Brawl if you have those play a specific class card. Mm-hmm. You can actually knock 2 of them out. I actually played like 10 games of this just to knock those type of quests out.
And this week's deck is actually one that we've been talking about off and on throughout the course of the show, and it saw quite a bit of play at Seoul, and that is Highlander Hunter. And so I'm going to run down this deck list real quick. We're going to talk about it just briefly, and then we're going to go play it.
This version isn't one of the Master Soul deck lists. It's actually the deck that I took to Legend this month, that I found and tweaked and found it on HS Replay and tweaked it to my style. The one that List was playing is very similar to this, except it runs the Lynxes instead of Shimmerflies, and it has Howmaster Shaw in it. So it's very similar to this because it has the secrets and secret text, but this is more of a secret Highlander Hunter.
Okay. So this deck list, again, this is Highlander, so there's one of everything. You've got Shimmerfly, Secret Keeper, Zephyrus the Great, Sunreaver Spy, Snipe, Snake Trap, Rat Trap, Pressure Plate, Freezing Trap, Explosive Trap. Then you've got Ursatron, Unleash the Hounds, Snip Snap, Masked Contender, Kill Command, Hunter's Pack, Eaglehorn Bow, Deadly Shot, Animal Companion, Sandbinder, Mark Shot, Life Drinker, Hyena Alpha, Ziliax, Subject 9, Unleash the Beast, Savannah Highmane, Siamat, Dino Tamer Bran, and Zul'jin. So, Zerotio, tell us a little bit about it.
So the deck is really fun to play. It's very diverse in what you can do. The main implementation against things like aggro is you want to get your secrets out as quick as possible, and then put on pressure anytime you can get incremental damage in, get it in. Because ultimately you want to get to a point where you can Zephyrus for Fireball lethal, or you can Dino Tamer Bran for 10 damage on turn 10 with King Crush and Hero Power, so that you can finish off your opponent. Obviously, there's lots of spells in here for Zul'jin. A lot of your draw, like your Ursatron and your Subject 9s, it's mainly so you can thin the deck out to try to get to things like your Zephyrus, your Siamat, your Zul'jins. You want to thin your deck out as quickly as possible, so that you can then turn around and just finish off your opponent. It plays very, very tempo based, which is kind of odd because it kind of takes a control stance, but also plays aggressively at times. That Hyena Alphas I liked in the deck, but there's a lot of times with the current meta the way it is with aggressive decks that Hyena Alphas just don't do what I want them to do. I've considered cutting them, but right now I like the deck the way it is. I had like a 63% win rate with it over the course of 102 games, and it took me all the way up from rank 5, 0 stars, because I goofed around with other decks into Legend. Probably one of my fastest Legend runs in number of games played. I actually got to Legend in 94 games with this deck, and then the other games were once I got into Legend. So I actually got into Legend with 94 games. It's under 100 games, and I think let me look here in that block. It was showing a 67% win rate up into Legend. So anytime you can get close to a 70% win rate, you're gonna scoop right up into Legend if you're playing from rank 5.
Awesome.
So that's I kind of had that experience like Regis talked about, where you just go offline and just grind your way up to Legend. So, yeah, I love this deck. It's probably the most fun I've had in Hearthstone in a while.
Well, cool. I'm stoked and ready to play it. I've actually built this deck. I was missing Siamat and a couple of other cards, so I swapped out Siamat and the Sandbinder for King Crush and something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
wasn't a Mountain Giant? I think that's what you said.
Yeah. Well, I'd actually no Mountain Giant. I talked about replacing Siamat with and keeping Sandbinder in, but I ended up pulling Sandbinder out and pulling Siamat out and putting in Crush and was it? No, that was already in there. It was another direct damage removal spell just for extra removal. I don't remember what it is.
Was it baited shot or?
Yes, baited shot.
Okay.
Yes, I put in baited shot.
So the one thing I like about this deck, the build that we're running tonight that I ran, is the Siamat and Zephrys are both elementals. The Sandbinder will draw them. I have seen other lists that run, instead of Sandbinder, they run Witchwood Piper instead of the Sandbinder, and then they don't have to run the Siamat, because Witchwood Piper is going to draw you the lowest cost, which in a lot of cases can be that Zephrys.
Right.
If you've already drawn your early minions. But yeah, the draw in this, it doesn't look like it has a lot of draw, but it's targeted draw, which is really, really good, because being able to thin your deck, especially if you haven't drawn hardly any of your secrets and you draw into your subject 9, and you can thin your deck by another 3 or 4 cards, that's huge for being able to get to that brand for that final punch.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Again, we want to thank RegisKillbin for taking the time to join us this morning. It was great having him. If you are still with us and stay with us on Twitch or YouTube, as we're getting ready to get into the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via the audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. You can find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to help support and improve it, you can do so by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
All right. I just need to launch the game and we will be good to go.
I'm still on Cloud 9 having Regis on there. For people that are still watching us, definitely go over and give a subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/RegisKillbin. and follow him on Twitch. He is amazing. Some of his content, it just kind of, it's refreshing. That's the best way to say it. I'm not a big proponent of focusing on one stream, but whenever Regis is on, I have to watch him. And I've been subscribed to him for 2 years now and been following him for longer than that. So he's great for him to come on the show. He's just a class act guy and makes wonderful content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've watched a few of his streams. I love watching his Blizzard content where he goes and does special events. So much fun. So
well, he's just fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's. I mean, obviously there's scripts involved and there's guidelines they have to go by because they're dealing with devs. But he just it doesn't seem rehearsed or practiced to him. His joy for the game and his inquiries to them always seem very, very just innocent and free spirited.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I like him so much. Obviously,
right, legend guy. Let's queue up.
I gotta support those beards, but
yeah, I meant to say, I felt bad. I didn't shave for 3 days just to prepare for this, so I wouldn't be completely left out.
Yeah, sure. 3 days. You could go 3 years and you won't even be close.
Yeah, I know. That's all right.
Oh, feels bad, man. Make sure is my spectate on?
Yes, I am waiting on the spectate boss to let me in.
So the problem I've had the last couple days is every time I've queued up with this deck to practice it for the show, I've gotten mirror matches.
Oh.
And mainly that's because of lists. So we're probably going to have some really fun games of mirror. So we have Snake Trap, Pressure Plate, Shimmerfly, and Sandbinder. The Sandbinder is really important early, because if we are playing a mirror match, we want to get the Zephyrus so we can get a flare. I don't think we need the Pressure Plate, but Shimmerfly into Snake Trap is great against Hunter.
Okay. So pitch the Pressure Plate, and
because if they're playing the list, the RNG list,
mm-hmm.
they likely are running Spring Paws. So being able to get some value from the Snake Trap will be real good. For that reason, I'm considering not putting out Shimmerfly. We drew into the Zephyrus, which is good. I'm not going to play the Shimmerfly. I want to coin it out with the Snake Trap.
Okay.
He's probably going to either pop up a secret or he's going to hero power on 2.
Oh, ooh. Zephyrus on 2.
So he's going Tempo Zephyrus, which is probably going to give him a Brightwing.
Yeah, he's going to get Brightwing. He's going to get.
Oh no, he got Wild Growth. I bet.
Yeah.
So I am going to Snake Trap, coin Shimmerfly.
Do we still want to do that?
I think I do because I want to get the board wide.
Okay.
And knowing that he's probably going to Wild Growth this turn, I think that's the way I want to go. Because obviously next turn we can Sunreaver Spy.
Not if he pops the trap.
Well, that's true. Do we just put out the Explosive Trap then? I plan to coin out Sunreaver with the trap next turn?
We could.
I think I like that better.
Okay. Well, that's why we talk about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I like that better. Because this still does what I want to do just a turn later. It puts the Sunreaver out with a Snake Trap. So if he does rush into it, we'll get Snake value.
Right.
Oh, he got Animal Companion.
Okay. And he always Huffer.
Always Huffer. Oh, this is not bad.
No, now I like the Snake Trap coin Sunreaver here.
I do too. Obviously, we're not going to have the secret available for the Masked Contender. And I've seen Masked Contender teched out of a lot.
Unless he goes face.
He might go face. But the 4 health on this the Sunreaver tells me he wants to clear it. Now, he could Mark Shot it. Ooh, Houndmaster Shaw. Okay.
Now we get the masked contender value.
We sure do. Do we? Or do we need to try to get a Shadow Word Pain? So our masked contender is going to get us Freezing Trap, Pressure Plate, Rat Trap, or Snipe. I'd be happy with Snipe, and I'd be happy with Pressure Plate, and I'd be okay with Freezing Trap. I think we masked contender still.
Okay. Masked contender and Shimmerfly? Just to
Let's see.
use all
Let's
of
see
our...
what trap. Let's see what trap we get. We got Snipe, so yeah, Shimmerfly. Now the question is, do we clear the Huffer?
Let's see.
He's in Legend, so he probably assumes that since he popped Explosive Trap, we're not going to have another Explosive Trap.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I think you could clear.
Okay.
So 5 mana.
And I'm destined to lose this game because Frid just spectated me.
Yes. Anytime the coach is watching.
So Snipe plays around any decent-sized minion getting rush. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to play the masked contender. Is if we got Snipe, we were still going to be ahead. Ooh, whoa! What's he going to target the Shimmerfly with? We might need a Zephyrus here. Ooh, Hyena Alpha. I don't think that's on a good curve, though. I think we need a Zephyrus for an answer here. We don't have a way to clear the Shaw. Other than running Shimmerfly in and hoping we get a good spell. And I just don't like that. You think we should go ahead and Zephyrus? You went silent on me.
Yeah, sorry, I'd muted my mic. Yeah, Zephyrus is probably the best option here. Look for an answer.
I'm going on the right to play around any random explosive shots.
There's the Shadow Word Pain, which will get
Yeah,
rid of...
I think we got to pain this. I mean, we could shield block, but it doesn't deal with the Houndmaster. So we still have a secret, which is probably not going to get popped. Okay, he was targeting Bomb Toss. He main decks Bomb Toss. That's a main deck Bomb Toss. Wait, this is... Okay. This is not List's list. This is the mech version of this deck. So I think we pop this O2. He's probably gonna magnetize, so we probably need to go wide and prepare to be able to use Mark Shot. I think we go ahead and Hyena Alpha.
Okay, I don't hate that.
Then we just hear a Power Face. We're at 15, which is kind of
A little low.
rough. However, let's see. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh,
There's Crush.
trying to
Leaves us
see
at
if we have.
3.
That's a pain. So we're probably dead.
Probably. I think you have to mark shot. See what we
No. No, we're gonna need to manually clear these the minions other than King Crush, and subject 9 into Freezing Trap,
get. Okay.
because we can't leave any minion on the board without Freezing Trap, because we die to whatever minion in Hero Power.
Right.
So I think we go ahead and clear here. Let's go ahead and see what spell we get off this.
Misdirection. I think you still subject 9.
I think you're right. But man, misdirection would be...
and then go face with the contender.
Yeah. So the Crush will get freezing trapped unless he plays Ziliax. He probably just has kill command. Nope, missile launcher. That's lethal.
Yep.
So I think where we might have lost this game is we didn't read the deck right.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that isn't our fault. A lot of that is he did a good job of waiting to play his identifier.
I was going to say a lot of it was Frid's fault for spectating.
That's and he must have known that because he just left. So,
anytime the coach is watching,
that's right.
Yeah.
It's lately his co-host Dan has been higher ranked than he was.
Oh,
by a bit, by like 3 or 4 ranks. So they rectified that. Dan's at rank 5 and Fred's at 4. But again, I got legend pretty early, so he's probably trying to learn from a master of how to get to legend. Hunter is all okay. So I gotta tell you, if you're playing at high end, probably rank 5 and above, you're gonna see a lot of Hunter. You can counter Hunter. Quest Paladin does not do good against Hunter. Does not do good against Quest Paladin. So if you can make Quest Paladin, play it right now.
Yeah.
I can't because I didn't open the cards.
I did not either.
I think we just throw back everything but the Ursatron, and I'm mainly keeping the Ursatron for a turn 3 body, and because it will draw me, it'll thin my deck a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you don't have a whole lot of mechs. It's mostly Ziliax or
yeah. Most of your targeted draw has
Snip
2
Snap, which
cards.
you just drew.
Your Sandbinder has 2 cards to draw. Your Ursatron has 2 cards to draw.
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, your Subject 9 will have two secrets to draw.
Okay.
Now this may be our list. Yeah. Hello. How you doing?
Do we just pass and coin Ursatron next turn?
I think we Shimmerfly. And the reason we Shimmerfly is to A, eat a shot from the Secret Keeper, because he's probably going to play a secret. And then B, it will give us a spell to possibly deal with the Secret Keeper.
Okay.
I do a lot of just throwing out the Shimmerfly. Now, I've thought about cutting the Shimmerfly for something like Secret Plan, but a lot of times I don't need another secret. I just need another spell.
Right.
So the Beast Within is not a bad card to have because it can be used as removal.
So what do you think about Pressure Plate and seeing if he plays another secret?
I like Pressure Plate because if he does play another secret to beef up his Secret Keeper more, it's dead.
Right.
Yeah, this is going to buff his Secret Keeper. I'm aware of that. But I think it's a necessary evil. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait a minute, and then I'm going to oops. Okay? And the reason I'm saying oops is to make him think, oh, I just buffed up your Secret Keeper. I do this a bit in the Legend ranks just to kind of see if I can play around. He'll go, oh, maybe he made a mistake. Okay, so he's not playing. He is playing around it, which is good on his end.
So now do we Sunreaver?
Yeah, but that seems really weak. I almost would rather. Well, the Sunreaver stays alive a little bit. Yeah, I think we got a Sunreaver. And see, the Beast Within with the Unleash the Beast minions can allow us to clear 2 minions. We're a little bit behind here. You just pressure. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bad. Well, Mark shot something. So I think we try to clear the Secret Keeper.
Mm-hmm. Summon the 1/1 snakes.
Nope, it's Freezing Trap. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of Freezing Trap or Pressure Plate. But we Mark shot. I'm Mark shotting the 3/4 because we still have Pressure Plate.
Right. But, the Pressure Plate. Hunter's Pack?
think Hunter's pack, because we can't play the pressure plate because we have a pressure plate.
And the 9 lives, we don't have any death rattle minions that have died.
No. Yeah, I don't know if we can win this one. Probably going to have to coin out the Unleash the Beast. So if he's going to play a Secret to beef up the Secret Keeper, he played that right by sending all those minions
first, yeah.
Play around pressure plate. He obviously has had a lot of practice with this deck.
Yeah, he probably rushed from 5 to Legend with it.
Yeah. They attack, get the kill command, pop the pressure plate.
And that's going to
I
be
think that's
game.
done so. That's turn 5.
Yeah,
so this deck
that's crazy.
can go very fast. This deck can go very fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to try to get one more game in with it?
Sure, we can.
Okay. And see, I was running into this on the day before I got Legend, and I actually had to switch over to Warrior because I was just playing so many mirror matches. And then they kind of filtered out the next day, and that's when I was able to jump into Legend with it.
Gotcha.
It's really, really good against Mage. It dumpsters Mage, and it has a decent win rate against Control Warrior. I mean, it's like a 54 to 56% win rate against Control Warrior, depending on the techs. Ooh, so
okay.
Paladin is the worst matchup for this deck on paper.
Okay.
However, I have a lot of trouble with the Quest version. I'm going to throw all this back.
Including the Sandbinder?
Including the Sandbinder. I want to get secrets. The Murloc version, I've had a lot of success in beating. Though on paper in HS Replay, it says that you lose to it. I have actually have a positive... I think I'm like a 61% win rate if last I checked against just the Murloc version. And currently with this deck on the ladder, I'm 66 and 42, 61% win rate.
So
and lately I haven't.
Crystology means he's pulling low cost minions, so it's either Mex or Murloc.
Yeah.
Probably.
Crystology's ran in every Paladin deck. It's ran in Holy Wrath. Obviously we're not playing Quest because he mulliganed it.
Well, there's a secret.
Yeah. So I'm going to play the Snipe. If he's Murloc, he kills the first Murloc he puts out, but I really think we're probably playing against Holy Wrath. If this is the case, we're either going to get value off Mass Contender because he hero powers, or he plays Novice Engineer and we don't get the greatest value. If he plays Novice Engineer or pops a Snipe at all, we'd probably play Snip Snap. And in this deck, I play a lot of times. I just play Snip Snap on 3. Just because it's a good value minion on 3. The Magnetize doesn't get used, but you really don't need it at that time.
Right.
A lot of people don't like playing it on 3. There's a Novice Engineer. So this is likely Holy Wrath. Which is a tough matchup. We really have to rely on that brand burst. So we need to just keep applying pressures. We need to keep putting things down that would be hard for him to get rid of.
Okay.
We might even tempo Life Drinker next turn, depending on what he does this turn.
Right.
If we draw a secret, we'll probably Hero Power Secret. Probably regardless of the secret. Well, I don't know. We could save that for 5. See him at.
So, Tempo Life Drinker?
I think it's a Tempo Life Drinker. We don't get any heal from it. And I really want to see a secret next turn. I'm just going to go face.
Yeah,
we want
just
to
need
soften him
apply
up
pressure fast and
because
hard.
of brand.
Yeah.
Mainly because we want a brand lethal. I don't think we have the tempo to brand lethal on 7, but maybe on 9 with the hero power. And at this point, we probably need to start trying to weave in our hero power as much as we can. But with our hands, our mana size, our mana curve, I don't know if we can weave in our hero power enough.
Well, it depends on what we draw. Next turn, we might have to naked Mass Contender hero power.
Yeah. I think we Mass Contender this next turn, unless we draw another 3-drop. That's going to be a problem. Because now he's getting that heal value. He coined out a hero power and left the mana floating.
Yep.
So that tells me he's making room for Prismatic Lens.
Okay.
So I think we just we got to clear the Kangor. Because he's just going to keep healing back the damage equal to our Snip Snap. So I think we double trade into the Kangor. Feels bad. The question is do we Mass Contender? I think we have to.
I mean, it's a 2/4 on the board.
Yeah.
And we can apply 2 more damage from our hero power this turn.
And I'm fairly certain he's going to Prismatic Lens this turn.
And that opens us up to Unleash the Beast next turn.
Let's see, if he Prismatic Lens this turn, he fills up to 10 cards, so he'll need something else to do for 1 mana. And, furthermore, Acolyte of Pain could cause him to overdraw.
That's true.
Which could also be why he just tossed out the coin. Because he knew we could probably get him into an overdraw situation.
Consecrate. Okay.
I mean, our 2/4 still alive as a 2/2.
Yeah.
So he has hand size issues right now, which means he needs to dump cards.
That's true.
Obviously,
now might
we have
be
an
the best
unleashed
time.
We have an Unleash the Beast. We could just do that to clear that 1/1. But I think we Secret Keeper, Rat Trap,
Hero
power, and then we trade off the 1/1 so we don't get any kind of buff shenanigans.
I like it too.
Now, we don't have a great win rate against the Holy Wrath Paladin. However, I have good success against it because I've played this deck to Legend multiple months. I think I've played this deck to Legend like 3 or 4 months. At least 2 in a row. So I am very aware of the tools they possess.
Hammer of Wrath.
Yep, Hammer of Wrath is a draw engine in Holy Wrath right now. The thing is I'm looking at his... Oh, wow.
Hyena.
Yeah, but the problem with Hyena is it plays right into Holy Wrath, Wild Pyro shenanigans.
Okay. Do you Unleash the Beast then?
I think I use all my mana and I see him into Divine Shield Rush.
Okay.
So this is gonna try to push out a early Shirvala. To trade into this. And I don't think he's played enough spells. See, 4, 8. Now he hasn't played. There's Subdue. Okay. He hadn't played enough spells to get Shirvala free. And he doesn't finish it off. So we can tempo out Hyena, throw out the pressure plate, just to make him feel he has to play around a secret.
Yeah, and then hero power.
I mean, or we can Brand, but Brand we can fit in next turn with a hero power.
Right.
So I think this applies pressure. And what this also does is if he plays another Wild Pyro into a spell to work on clearing, unless it's something like Shrink Ray or Equality, it will kill the Pyro before you can cast a second spell. So if he trades here to test for Snake, then he plays Pyro. Okay, well that's a second Consecrate out of the way, and 1 Pyro out of the way.
And there's Prismatic Lens.
And we've already seen the Subdue, which is usually a 1-of. We knew he had the Prismatic Lens the way he was playing his hand. thing is he's gonna have to start emptying his hand and doing more drawing, but we're limiting his drawing because he's playing around Rat Trap.
Right.
I think this is going to be a brand play.
I think so too.
I think we just push it now.
Brand hero power. Hit him for 10.
Yeah, I'm with the Eagle Hornbow. I just didn't know if there's maybe a tempo way to set up for a better brand. But I think the brand hero power is still the way to go. This might just prompt him to time out. Still got 9 cards in his deck. I don't think he runs 2 subdues. I mean, he could. But what would he cut to run a second subdue? Unless he just cut Shrink Ray entirely, which I can't imagine that being the case. One of a Shrink Ray maybe, but never no Shrink Rays. Not with Mage in the meta. And Subdue kind of on a 1 minion big board does with Wild Pyro what Wild Pyro Equality at 2 mana used to do.
There's Shrivala.
He's going to banker that. He's trying to figure out how to do the 1 extra damage to the King Crush. That's going to be banker. And he's going to pop the Rat Trap. There's a Pyro. Here comes the Rat Trap.
So here comes a spell, which is going to trigger Pressure Plate. Come
Hopefully
on,
we can hit the Shrivala.
Yes!
Yes!
Now
All right.
we're going to clear the
This is a
brand.
game now. This is a game now. There's Deadly Shot.
So I think you have to unleash the beast here.
The question is, do we Deadly Shot first?
Well, I mean, yeah, you can clear his board.
So let's unleash first,
Okay.
and we'll send the 5/5
Into the 1/1.
to the 2/1,
2/1, and then send the 6/5 into the 1/1, and then Deadly
and
Shot.
then use Deadly Shot, preserving some of the health on our minions. We're not going to even hero power because he has timeout up.
Right.
We haven't seen either Flashlight, unless he cut a Flashlight for Subdue, but I can't imagine that. Ooh, he's chunking out a Holy Wrath. 2. That did not do what he wanted it to do.
No. So he went ahead and used his second timeout. So, just Snake Trap, Eagle Horn, pass?
I think so.
So that's his second timeout.
And hero power just because we don't want to forget to use it.
Don't forget to use your hero power.
That's right. Oh, cold coffee.
So he's healing. His second flash a lot.
So we've already used Dino Tamer, so he's not afraid of that.
There's his second prismatic lens.
He's probably going to draw Shrivala.
Yeah. Explosive trap. So just go face with everything.
Yeah, we unleash and clear the 1/1. Explosive trap, hero power. We just go.
Yeah, just send it all.
So we need to threaten lethal this turn because he has 2 cards left in his deck. So he almost has to Hail Mary Holy Wrath. Unless he drew the Shrivala. Oh, he's going to Zephyrus. Zephyrus is going to give him a Flame Strike.
It will.
Yep. So we're still showing 5.
Oh.
So we're going to hero power.
And pass?
So if we draw, what beast do we have? We have Shimmerfly, we have Animal Companion, we have Hunter's Pack, which would give us a beast. We have Unleash the Hounds. We have Subject 9. That will give us lethal next turn. So I think we just pass.
He
He
has to Shrivala this turn, and he has nothing he can attack with it because it has rush.
Yes. Yeah, we don't want to put anything on the board this turn because he'll heal. And the threat of Explosive Trap might keep him from attacking. We have a lot of outs.
He's using both his timeouts.
The only merit to kill commanding is possibly for Azul Jin drop. Has he got lethal? Yep, he has lethal. There we go.
Okay.
He got it. That didn't count for the novice drawing him.
Yeah.
Yep. He played that well.
He did.
He played it well. But we had our out. One more turn and we were threatening a lethal, so.
Yeah.
I do think, in the light of Masters Tour Seoul, that this deck may have run its course. In usefulness on the ladder. I think it's still good in a controlled environment like a tournament, whether it be Specialist or Conquest or Last Year Standing or what have you. So if you play something like THL, Team Hearth Legends, then put this in your repertoire.
Yes.
But I think on the ladder, you probably want to find another option. Battle Cry Shaman is really good right now. Obviously, Control Warrior is doing a good job. Mage is good, but Mage gets countered by this deck. So Mage probably isn't real playable right now. But this is a very good deck. It did well for me, and probably give it a couple more weeks when the meta shapes up and people start trying some of the other decks that happen in Masters Tour Seoul, like Priest and Shaman and whatnot, that this deck will get better.
Yeah.
I am probably going to try to push my Legend rank this month. I'm not going to play a lot over the next couple weeks, but when we get in the last week of the month, I might try to push into like top 500 or something like that. Okay. I don't think I've ever been that high. I think I've finished a month like at 686. I think it's my highest. But this may be the month I do a little bit of push. I'm not going to try hard to qualify for a Masters Tour or nothing like that. But I would like to test my chops in a meta that I seem to be doing well in. Another deck that we might save for the show later this month is I found out how to make Mechathune Druid work again. So I've played it on the ladder a couple times. I play it in friendly matches. I'm 2-1 in friendly matches with it. They thought they killed it when they rotated Naturalized, but no, it's not dead. We'll talk about that another time.
I've been playing Mechathune Quest Warlock.
Yeah,
having
that's
a lot of fun with that one.
When the set first came out, I actually got a lot of games in with Mechathune Zoo Warlock.
Yeah,
it's basically just a zoo deck with Mechathune just in case you run out of tools.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Hit that like button and subscribe button on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. And for more details about our patron-only Discord, head on over to patreon.com/heropower. And until next week, good gaming.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Regis.